Hey everybody, Thrifty Teresa here. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Etsy seller interview series. This is interview number 2. If you have not watched interview number 1, I will put a link down in the description below. You can go to my YouTube channel and watch my awesome interview with Alyssa Grosso, who has the Planet Alyssa Etsy store. Today I have Angie Martin. She has a Etsy store, Dazzled by Vintage. She goes by Treasured Vintage on YouTube and makes some fantastic videos. Thank you so much for joining me, Angie. Please say hello.
I am so glad to be here. I can't tell you how tickled I am to be able to do this and to meet you, and just really honored that somebody wanted to hear about my shop and about me.
Well, I'm really excited that you agreed to do the interview. One of the things that I appreciate about you since I'm fairly new to the vintage reselling, is that you are a huge part of the reselling community, especially on YouTube. You encourage people so much. You always seem to be participating in the different chats and broadcasts and stuff that other YouTube sellers make, and I don't know how you have the time to do it all, but your support and encouragement is wonderful.
Thank you. I don't do as much as I used to. I don't think. Periscope has taken a big chunk of my time, which I'm sure you're going to maybe ask me about.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that I don't use, so I would love to hear more about it, and I'm sure other people want to know about what you're periscoping also. So let's first start talking about you. Where do you live? Where are you from?
I live in beautiful Pennsylvania. It's springtime here. It's so pretty. I'm about an hour south of the capital of Harrisburg, and I'm pretty close to the Maryland border, so like a couple hours away from Washington, D.C., and right there in South Central PA.
Excellent. And how long have you been selling on Etsy?
Etsy is going to be 5 years in August, so I'm excited about my 5-year anniversary coming up. And eBay has been a little bit, I don't know how many years before Etsy, but eBay was some years before Etsy that I was doing first, is what I started on eBay.
And how did you originally get into selling vintage?
I don't know. I've always loved vintage stuff. Specifically the jewelry. I just remember me and my mom always having a fun thing to do, pulling out her jewelry box and my Graham's jewelry box, and looking at all the treasures and all the neat 50s jewelry and stuff like that, and just the mid-century era really enthralls me. I just love mid-century modern stuff.
Well, you certainly have a great eye. The items in your store are just gorgeous, and I love watching your haul videos to see what you've picked up next. So
Thanks.
with selling on Etsy or reselling in general, is this a full-time job for you, part-time, or just a hobby?
Yeah, I don't really consider it a job because it's just really fun for me. I'm retired, so it gives me something to do, and it's a creative outlet for me. I love making my shop as pretty as I can get it. And I like to work on the pictures and display the different items in cool ways if I can. And yeah, it's more like when I open my shop, it's like it makes me happy. So, and if I sell something, that's a bonus.
That's definitely a bonus. And you do such a fantastic job with your photos. I know for myself, and a lot of Etsy sellers, they just use a plain white background, kind of like what I have behind me here. Just plain, there's nothing there, just to focus on the item. But you do such a wonderful job designing little areas to take pictures of specifically your small items, your jewelry. Where did that idea come from, or tell us more about that?
Heavens, I don't even know where it came from. I've always been sort of an artist, and I just think I'm creative that way. I have an eye to see what would present my items well. I don't know. I use scarves and plates and all kinds of stuff to put my jewelry on. So it's I just like that look. Some people like plain, which plain is really good too. I mean, some people probably prefer to shop in a store that's got all plain backgrounds, but that's not my shop.
I do it mostly because I'm lazy. So I don't have all the fun, cool little knickknacks to put in the background of my items, and I don't have enough time in my day to come up with these great little dioramas and stuff. So the fact that you go the extra mile to make your photos so spectacular has got to be one of the things that has made your Etsy shop successful.
I do get a lot of compliments on that particular aspect of my shop. So I'm just grateful that I have that going for my shop. I'm humbled by that. I like to hear those compliments.
Well, I like to give the compliments, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's fantastic. So, on average, on Etsy specifically, how many sales do you get per week in an average week that's not like Christmas holiday?
I'd say 10, maybe 12. I do like a little part-time job type of business. It's not, I'm not going to make a living from it, but that's not what I'm trying to do. So it works out. I had
That's
like
good. And where
1,700.
do you?
1,721 sales so far in all the
Wow,
years
in
I've
5
sold.
years.
Yeah. So I like that. That's a good amount for me.
That's fantastic. That is something that I'm aspiring to. So it's great to have you as a fellow coworker or mentor. I learn so much from you. So this is
Oh,
wonderful.
thank you. And you also. Is that a sentence? You also?
Yeah, sure. I understood.
Okay.
we're on the same wavelength, you and I.
We'll roll with that then.
So where do you pick up your beautiful treasures? Where do you do your treasure hunting? Where do you source?
um, Yard sales, but they're not my favorite. I mean, they're my favorite once I'm there, once I'm actually out of bed, and I never get there on time. Like the last one I went to, it was like 5 minutes late, and the jewelry was already, whoop, people were already all over it. So it was like, oh, dang it, 5 minutes, really? So, but there's a lot of pressure at the yard sales. I kind of like going to the thrift store, although you don't get as much of a deal probably at the thrift store as you do when you're at a yard sale. It depends, though. Just depends. So recently, though, I went to the Restore. Are you familiar with the Habitat for Humanity Restore? Do you have
No,
those
tell
in
me about
Seattle?
that. Not to my
It's
knowledge.
run by Habitat for Humanity, and it's a lot of contractor overstock or people that have building or remodeling their homes. Then they donate all the stuff, like all the bathroom fixtures, there's lamps in there, there's mid-century modern furniture. Recently, I found a Haywood Wakefield table for $15. I don't know if you're familiar with Haywood Wakefield, but it's a mid-century modern furniture maker, and I was periscoping when I found that, and that was very cool because I was talking. I don't know. Should I get into the periscope thing?
Sure, of course.
Well, I was talking on Periscope, and I don't know. I guess a lot of people know what it is. It's a streaming app through Twitter, and so I have a lot of resellers that follow me, and I follow a lot of resellers on Periscope. So a lot of times I'll try to get on and broadcast before I go into a thrift store or yard sale or anywhere that I'm gonna try to pick something up. So I went in and I was just admiring this little table, and one of my followers on um, Periscope said Haywood Wakefield, and I had heard of him, and I knew he was mid-century modern, and I said, no, it can't be. And I turned it over, and there it was, his stamp. And so like I had to have it. It was only $15.
Wow.
And so I got
What
that.
a find.
And also in there, I sold a brass statue. It was about this tall. You might have seen it in one of my hauls or one of my videos. But I picked it up for $5 and I sold it for $120 on Etsy. So I like that too.
Well, what a great tool that is. So you're basically taking your friends shopping with you because they can see what you're looking at and give you tips. That's fantastic.
Exactly. It's a real, it's a real help and an asset to me. I mean, I wouldn't have known that was Haywood Wakefield. I wouldn't have known to turn it over and look at the bottom of it. But thank you, Daryl, if he watches this.
Shout out to Daryl. Good job.
Shout out to Daryl.
So
Riley,
what did you do? What did you do with that table? Are you keeping it, or do you plan on selling it?
You had to ask me that, didn't you? You just had to go there, didn't you? It's down in the bedroom, and it's like I don't have a good place for it, and it's like I look at it down there, tucked in the corner, and I'm like, oh, you poor thing. I want you upstairs so bad, but he doesn't go with anything I have, and so it's kind of a problem. But I'm keeping it. I'm holding on to it because I love it.
Hey, that's good enough. Good enough. I know I am tempted to keep a lot of the stuff that I sell, and sometimes it's really heart-wrenching letting go of those prized pieces that you found.
It is.
But if you can make a place for it, even if it doesn't quite fit, make a place for it and it will be happy.
Yep.
So as far as your Etsy shop goes, your bread and butter items seem to be a lot of jewelry. Jewelry seems to be a specialty, and you were saying that that's something that you sort of picked up from your mother and your grandmother over the years.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to show us today?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just listed this today, and after I listed it, I'm like, well, it was one of those things that I looked at it and like, I really like this. Do I really want to list it? So I put a high price on it. Probably nobody will buy it. I'll be able to wear it once or twice. It's one of those pin and brooch combinations. I always have a problem doing this.
That's okay.
I don't know if you can see that, but it's really detailed. It has open work. It's by Carl Art. It's signed, and it's sterling silver. So when I got it, it was just the pin pendant part, and I put it on this little box link chain. And so yeah, I just listed that today, and I'm like, now I want to wear it.
So you're selling the chain along with the pendant then?
I am. There are a few other ones on Etsy, but they didn't put it with the chain. So we'll see how that does.
Well, that's a great selling point. Yeah, great tip to bump up the quality of your item is to have that little something extra.
I hope so. I mean,
So
I
I'll have
kind of hope so, and then I kind of don't hope so because I want to wear it a little bit.
you want to wear it. Excellent. What else do you have?
I this weekend I got this little. Well, let me see. Let me show you this other thing first. Okay, there's a kind of a funny story that goes with this. If you have time.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is a really neat cloth that someone's wife made, and it has cross stitch on it. Actually, that's all cross stitched or needlepoint or whatever. But that's all
Wow.
hand done. It's all the flowers. So I got this at a yard sale a week or so ago, and there was an older man out there in the garage. It was actually a garage sale, and he was, every time I'd pick something up, he'd say, "Oh, my wife did that. She did all that. She made all that." And then I'd pick something else up, and he'd say, "Oh, my wife got that for retirement when she retired." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really nice." And then after this went on for quite a while, I said, "Did your wife pass?" And he said, "No, she's in there sleeping." I'm like,
Oh my
I said, "Oh, she's sleeping in a good way then, right?" Because it really just seemed like, as this, he was making all over this stuff, like, this is hers, and maybe she passed away.
gosh. That's
Yard
so
sales can
funny.
be so funny. And
Yeah, you don't want to assume and you don't want to offend, but sometimes that's too funny. No, she's just taking a nap.
we had a good laugh about it. It was like, she's in there sleeping. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was periscoping that too, so that was kind of funny for everybody on Periscope. I think everybody probably knows about the dead mouse by now too. The dead mouse story.
I don't think I know about this story.
I think you do. You probably forgot because I think you commented on my video. But
Okay.
I'll tell you again. I'll tell you again if you
Yes,
want me to.
please. Yes, please.
So last summer I was at a yard sale, and it was my kind of stuff. It was all vintagey stuff. And there was two older ladies sitting at the end of the long table with all kinds of little figurines and boxes of stuff, and it was all old, like maybe they drug it out of a shed or something. It's just, you could tell. I don't know where it came from, but it was very, very old. Anyway, there's this box, and it had some, what was I thinking that was? Well, yeah, it was vintage handkerchiefs, and I was pulling them out, and I said, "Oh, hankies, old hankies." I'm looking at them, and this one's kind of all balled up, and I'm like, "Oh, did she make something like a little, little stuff thing out of this, or what?" And I'm like looking at it and flipping it around, and all the time there's this mouse tail going like this. And the lady says, she goes, "Oh, that's a dead mouse." And I threw it, and it's like, that was on Periscope. It's just, you just can't make this stuff up. It was so funny. And after I got done with being horrified, I laughed myself silly. It was crazy.
That's fantastic. People really need to start following you on Periscope.
I wish they
I
would.
don't really use that too much, but I'm gonna have to start because I want to start seeing some of this live shopping that you do that seems to be so hilarious.
It's a lot of fun. So, oops.
But the great part about it is that you do have those linked to your YouTube channel, so we do get to see them afterwards if we can't tune in live, right?
Well, every once in a while, I'll put one up. I kind of pick my favorites. I don't put them all up. For one thing, I don't know how to make them not skinny. You know what I mean? And I like, when I watch a YouTube channel, I like them, you know, horizontal or landscape. And these are just skinny and like, I don't know how to fix that. So I only
Yeah,
put a few up once
I
in a
think that's a
while.
default, but that's okay. It's beyond your control.
Right.
We would still like to see, you know, especially those funny moments.
Yeah, yeah, I hope there's more of those because that's so much fun.
So with Etsy, did you start with selling jewelry, or did you start selling other things besides jewelry when you first started your shop?
I started with jewelry, yes. I did.
And is there some things that you tried selling that might have been a flop or a dud that you just decided I'm not going to bother with this anymore and stick with what I know?
Well, I don't know if it would be considered a dud, but along that same lines, I do not like clothing. I don't like measuring it. I don't like listing it. I don't like having it hanging around, having to put it on a mannequin or whatever. I don't like any of it. So that's one thing that, and
I'm
I
going to have
noticed
to
that
start. Yeah, I'm gonna
Alyssa
have to
doesn't like
start
it either.
interviewing a clothing seller because both of you have now said I don't like selling clothes, and I know I don't either. So I need to
I think many
interview a
people
clothing
do.
seller so we can get some positivity headed their way. they they can sell all the hard stuff, but I would imagine they would do it because they love it, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's money to be made for sure. Um, it's just like any other niche. You you learn what's good and then you make good money on it. So
One of the things that I've been sort of struggling with is uh, I don't have the knowledge of the jewelry that you and some of the other folks that I follow do. Did this just come naturally to you, or do you spend a lot of time researching each of the items that you find?
I do spend a lot of time researching, and I recently bought a book on Amazon, and it's helped me a lot because there's always something that you don't know, and there's a lot that I don't know. Um, I kind of have a niche of the 50s and 60s and 70s jewelry, and I mean I know what the 80s is. I have kind of a good feel for the time periods, which is good. But there's a lot of things that about details that I'd like to learn more about, the way things are made and that kind of thing.
And do you use those like jewelry testing kits so you can test if you have a certain quality of gold or whatnot?
Well, I recently bought a testing kit and I don't like it. I tried to get the lid off of one of those bottles and the lid flew off. The solution flew onto the bracelet I was going to test. And of course, it's like acid stuff, and it ate little holes in it. And it was like a nice long cuff bracelet. It was real long, and those are good. They're good sellers. Well, yeah, that's what happened there. So now I don't.
Oh,
I don't really
bummer.
I don't fool with that really. If I want to know for sure what something is, I'll take it over to my friend who's at a little antique store. And he's glad always to look at stuff and tell me, or test it for me or whatever. But I am going to get a jewelry magnet, I think. I have a regular magnet, but I did not know until Margaret said that they have these jewelry magnets that are specifically for jewelry. So I'm going to get one of those for sure.
Well, that's good to know. And I imagine with the length of time that you've been doing this and the numerous pieces and, all the thousands of sales you've had now, you pretty much know just by looking at something, or you recognize the
I do.
signs or things of that nature. It takes time I imagine.
Yeah, there's a certain feel to gold and a certain look to it. And yeah, I know. I mean, 90% of the time I'll know if something's gold or not.
So how did you find Etsy? How did you first start your shop? And talk a little bit about being a new seller back when you started.
I was actually at a yard sale, and I don't know how I started talking to the girl about. She had a bunch of terrariums on a table, and she had a lot of vintage stuff too. And she said, I sell those terrariums on Etsy. And I said, oh, what's Etsy? And then she said, well, I have like 3 different shops on there. And she started to tell me about it. She actually does have a jewelry shop, so now she's kind of my competition. But she's the one that I just, one day I just looked into it and decided to open a shop, uh, and since then it's been my favorite platform to list on, for sure.
Do you recall how long it took for your shop to sort of start getting regular sales? More, maybe, a couple times a week or more?
It took about a year, really. The first year, I don't think it takes a while to build up your inventories for one thing, and the more you have listed, the better chance you're going to have to sell things. So that takes a while to get done. And yeah, I would say a good year before I started seeing really good sales. And I think like 2013 was my best year. From then, it's actually come down a little bit each year. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I don't know. I just roll with
Well, like
it.
you said, the more you list, the more active your shop is in the search results and things like that. So maybe in 2013 is when you were the most active, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think one thing is in 2013, I think I was letting a lot of things go for prices that I don't do now. I think I was cheaper on my prices and not knowing the value of some of the things that were being sold. Uh, I did do a lot of business that year, though. I mean, I can't say that year wasn't a good year for me, but now it's just that I'm not as willing to let things go as cheaply as I used to be. I don't know. Maybe I need to change that a little bit too. I've been thinking about that
Well,
very thing.
I wouldn't necessarily think you need to lower your prices or anything like that. You were saying you get maybe 10 to 12 sales a week, and if you're
Hmm.
selling things at a, you know, decent price, that's a good amount. That's a good amount of money for yourself.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I'm happy with what I'm making, and as far as goals, the only goal I have is to have fun. I mean, I don't really. I'm retired, and I've got a house is paid for, and our cars are paid for, and we're debt free. So whatever comes in is like, it's just helping out a little bit with the bills and stuff. So I don't I don't know. I'm good that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel the same way for myself. I mean, I have a full-time job and I only sell, a small amount each week. But hey, if I can send a little bit of money to my credit card company, then that's great. And I'm sure they appreciate it too. It's not making a full-time living, specifically on Etsy for me at this point. And I don't know how many people are making a full-time living being a reseller just on one platform. Um, but if you're having fun doing it, that's definitely the best part. That's when you're going to be your most successful, is when you're enjoying yourself.
Yes, I agree.
There's no time for drudge work. Nobody wants to do that. So
No,
if you're not enjoying yourself, then forget it.
I agree.
So what kind of tips would you have for new sellers, possibly somebody who has not sold on Etsy before? Any tips or tricks or tools they can use to launch their shop?
Let me consult my notes because I forget that one. Let's see, where is that one? Oh, okay. I'm thinking just make sure you list a lot, like I said, to build your shop up. Don't get discouraged and focus on customer service. I mean, just be very accommodating to people, and they'll remember that. I have a good many repeat buyers, and that's because if they buy something from me a couple times, I'll put something. I'll look at see what they favorited, and maybe I'll just give them something extra. That maybe they favorited or something similar to something that they favorited. So there's kind of little things you can do to build your brand, your business.
That's wonderful. Do you offer coupons for your repeat sellers besides maybe
Uh,
giving them a little special gift? Do you use the Etsy coupon codes?
I've only used that a couple times, actually. Yeah. Do you use it a lot?
To be honest, I use it with every order. I have a
Yeah.
specific coupon code that I give to all of my customers. They get it on their email that says thank you for your order, and then they also get it on the packing slip that I print for the shipment, and I also include my business card which has the coupon code written on it. So
Okay.
they've got 3 opportunities to see this coupon code, and you know what? I've only had one person use it.
Really?
I do have repeat customers who
Yeah.
have purchased multiple things from me, but they don't use the code.
Hmm.
So with a couple of people, I've actually given them a little refund saying, hey, you're a repeat customer. I'm happy to either give you free shipping on this item if it's light, or I will give them a little discount because they
Mm-hmm.
forgot to use the code. So I really don't know how successful that is.
Yeah.
But having people come back to my shop and buy other things is a wonderful feeling. So
It is. It's nice. I like that when that happens.
So besides selling online, what other sort of hobbies do you have? What do you like to do in your free time?
Um, this right here, gardening, flower
Very
gardening.
nice.
I this was my passion before I started Etsy and before I started reselling. I used to know all the Latin names for all the flowers, and uh, I just I just soaked that up. Now I soak up reselling, but yeah, so I've kind of forgotten a lot of that knowledge that I had, but I still love gardening. I still look forward every year to working in my flower beds.
It's
So,
certainly that time of year now. So those flowers in that vase are all from your garden?
yep, sure. They smell so good too.
Beautiful. Oh, I bet they do.
Yeah.
Do you garden vegetables or primarily flowers?
No, just flowers. Yeah.
I have a brown thumb. I don't have a green thumb whatsoever.
Ah,
Every once in a while, I'll buy a bouquet of flowers from the one of the local farmers markets that we have. They usually have big bushels of flowers for very little money, and those are always nice to pick
oh
up in the spring
yeah.
and summer.
Neat. Yeah. Yeah. I just they're just such a beautiful thing that God made that I don't know. I just see him in my garden, in flowers and stuff. So
I completely agree. They're beautiful. So besides selling on Etsy, do you also buy on Etsy? Is there anything that you purchase for yourself, or do you collect anything?
I wanted to bring that up here and I forgot it, but I bought one thing on Etsy and it was from Alyssa, Planet Alyssa, and it was for my husband for
Oh, great.
Christmas. And it was a little deer head, a little, mounted deer head. It was plastic. I don't know if you remember, but I did a video on that
I
too.
do.
And
I do remember that video.
I
That was
uploaded
around
a
Christmas time, right?
Periscope. Yeah, I uploaded the Periscope of him opening that up, and it was kind of cute. He liked it. So that's the only thing I bought on Etsy, actually.
That's all right. So tell us about your YouTube channel. It is Treasured Vintage.
Treasured Vintage, yes. I have 100 and some videos up there. My style is laid back and unprofessional. I don't have any graphs or, I just kind of show a lot of hauls, and every once in a while I'll tell you how much I sold something for. But, it's not, by any means, it's not a professional looking channel. But I have fun doing it. Periscope has kind of taken the place of YouTube, though, a big part of it. So I kind of have to force myself to do the YouTube videos now. This Periscope comes much more natural.
How can we connect with you on Periscope? How do we find you?
I am at One Thrifty Picker. It's #1 Thrifty Picker all together. So if you go to Twitter and follow me on there at One Thrifty Picker, and you download the Periscope app, you can put it on your iPad, you can put it on your phone, and they do have Periscope TV on the computer too. Periscope.tv, I think is what it is. But yeah, you can look at it all these different places. So,
So people get notified when you start periscoping, so we would be able to come watch you shop.
Yes, your phone it'll whistle at you, which I had to put it on mute because there was too much whistling going on. I mean, every couple seconds somebody's on, and there's a lot of there's just a ton of resellers on there, really. And if that's a resource for you. In addition to YouTube, I mean, it's a valuable resource for resellers, because people are always showing their hauls. They're showing and they're telling what they made on certain things and giving, information out. So yeah, it's good.
Well, that's definitely something I'm going to have to look into. So thank you so much for that tip. It's good to know that that does attach to Twitter, because I do have a Twitter account, but I don't use it too much. But I'm going to have to start in order to watch you shop, because I think that is going to be fun, not only because I don't have to spend any money, but I can watch you spend money.
People have actually said that to me when I'm there, thrifting. They'll say, "This is so much fun. I don't even have to spend money." They'll be telling you,
Yeah.
"Look at that thing, that glass thing back there, that thing there," and you're just talking to them. The only thing is, people think you're nuts. But I always just say, I'm talking to people in my phone. They don't know what I'm doing, and they think I'm talking to myself, and it's funny. But I'm the kind of person that is not real self-conscious when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't care. I'm too old. I don't care what people think. Crazy old lady talking in her phone.
I think it's becoming more commonplace these days. Everybody carries around their phone anyway, that, you could be talking to somebody, but they may not understand that you're taking a video that's like, oh, all my friends are watching me shop today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so new yet. I think it's only about a year old. So one day people will know it more. I'm sure, because I don't think it's going anywhere. It's a really cool thing.
All right. Are there any other ways that we can connect with you? Do you use Facebook or Instagram, or do you have a website or blog?
I am on Pinterest and I am on Instagram, although I don't use Instagram very much. I think I'm on there both under DazzledByVintage, both my Instagram and my Pinterest. So.
Okay, great. I'll try to find those accounts, and I'm going to link to everything that I can, to Angie's store and her Twitter and her Pinterest, and I'll try to get as many links as I can and put them below so the viewers can connect with you. If you're not already following Angie on YouTube, please do check her out. She is such a wonderful support in this community. Like she was saying, people help her out when she's out shopping, but she helps us out too. And even if it's just with kind words and encouragement, just one of the most lovely people that I've ever encountered during all of this is Angie Martin.
Thank you so much. You too. I just think the world of you. I love your videos and I love your personality. And I just thank you so much for having me today, interviewing me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. I was surprised that you accepted the invitation, because I didn't think that you did participate in like the video chats and things like that. But I know I saw you in the chat rooms as a watcher. So having you come on and being a guest is really made my day, and I love it so much.
Thank you. This is actually the third time I think I've been on I was on the Toadcast at Christmas time, I think, and I was on the art show. So I've been on live shows a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. It's good to have you out there. It's good to have the support and the camaraderie. Like I was saying with Alyssa last week, one of the great things about selling on Etsy, even though you and I are both vintage sellers, and I guess technically we would be competitors, I don't feel that competition from you. My store is so different than your store, and your store is so different from the person next to you, and we all have the things that we like to buy and like to sell, and we can learn so much from each other, which is one of the reasons I wanted to start doing these interviews, is to learn more about our Etsy selling community.
Yeah, that was a brilliant idea. I love it. I'm looking forward to all the other interviews too.
Yeah, so I got a few people coming up my sleeves, so we'll see how it goes. Good. So thank you again, Angie, so much for coming. I'm going to link to everything I can below so people can connect with you. And I want to thank everybody so much for watching. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Angie. Bye.